this is John Savage of Unwind Financial, where we talk about all things health and wealth to educate, inspire, and liberate. So you will hear that more as we go on and doing these podcasts and continue to build out our library of information to educate people and also to share with you a little bit more about who we are as Unwind Financial. I'm a certified financial health counselor. I have been one going on 6 years. I'm also insurance licensed and have experience in the life and health industry license, third-party administration, and also with auto and home property and casualty. So I'm a general lines licensed agent here in the state of California. I do insurance reviews for those who need an insurance review. And if they need insurance, then that's another conversation. But the goal is to help people mitigate risk in life and in wealth. So today, what I'm going to talk about briefly is preparing for retirement. So a lot of people I talk to when they're dealing with retirement, there's different things, issues come up, and even just planning with retirement, they're kind of wondering, where do I start? Well, one of the things is start with having a good savings plan. And I say that to give an example. Recently, I talked to a professor in California who is working with students. Obviously, a lot of professors might have hundreds of students they deal with every day. And they have a lot of work to do. They have a big responsibility. But when you're dealing with your own finances and other things that you might be doing personally that come up, you want to be able to access your money, right? Well, before you want to start just dumping money into retirement, it also depends on where you're at financially. One, the first things that I would say is wise to do, especially when you're in a financial position to do it very well and comfortably, is to start saving. Don't start spending because you can. Start saving. It doesn't matter if you're a doctor. It doesn't matter if you're the biggest business owner around. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher just got a big gig, superintendent. It doesn't matter. What you want to start with is protecting your financial house. And the reason I say that, because with budgeting and protecting your financial house, start saving, because you want to build for emergencies, because they do happen. We had the pandemic where there was different things there, a lot of different things, some crazy stuff that went on. Decisions were made across the country, and some locales, it hit people harder than others. I watched business owners doing very well, thriving in the perfect space. Their model was perfect for what was going on in the environment, spatial-wise and everything, but decisions that were made unjustly affected them. And so I don't know if that was the person's retirement with their business that I saw, more than one. But when you have situations that come up, you want to be prepared as much as you're able to, especially when you're able to be aggressive, save. And not just put money in a savings account, but you want to have liquid assets first. Because if you're in retirement and you need money, and say if you have a traditional 401k as an example, you have nothing in savings or any other allocations where you can access funds more immediately, then what do? You don't want to all of a sudden pull out $100,000. You're going to be taxed on it based on your current tax bracket, right? And the taxes that haven't been paid on those funds over the years. Also, you'll be subject to whatever the laws are that might be in place at that time with taxes. So there's different things that you can't control, right? There's a different variables, but what you can control is what you do know, how you live, and what you have in your hand at that moment. And so starting with savings is so important. Build up your savings to a point where first, baby steps, if you will, start with, and you just want to step at a time. It's a process, right? Everything takes time. Even if you have to rebuild, you've done it before, as a lot of entrepreneurs will say. They've had a lot of losses, but they've had some huge wins. You build it again. You start saving. And I suggest trying to save between 15 to 20% of your income. If you can do more, do more. I've had some people say, well, how much do I save? Save as much as you can. The more you can save, the better. But you want to be aggressive about it. Put it where your money is working for you. So in other words, look for high yield savings accounts. That's one thing. You don't put all your money in there, but you'll put a good portion to try and cover emergencies for at least 3 to 6 months worth of emergency expenses. Ideally, eventually trying to work towards 12 months worth of emergency expenses at least. So if something happens catastrophic, community cuts, things shut down, there's a storm, something happens, you have funds to fall back on, right? So that's going to be hugely important. And then also how you allocate your funds. So when it comes to retirement, not only you have money in savings for emergency expenses to live and be able to access funds liquid quickly without having to go through a process that could be delayed. Start building your savings in your retirement as well for the future. Now, there's different type of retirement accounts, and also depends on if you're a state employee, federal government employee. Some people have TSP plans. Even how you have the EFG, the buckets F, where you put your funds even matters. So some people just put money in retirement, but don't just put money in retirement. Maybe initially, if you don't know what to do and you're just trying to get started and you have money, a nice cushion in savings, you continue to save and continue to build where you're yielding money and making your money work for you. Um, but you want to put money into retirement with a purpose, with consciousness. So what I mean is, don't just put it in because someone says add another 1%, 3%, 5%. That's great, and it benefits the employers, right? There's breaks that they get by you doing that, but it's got to be more than that. You don't want to put money in retirement. I've seen where people had a huge portfolio for their clients and then 50% of it was gone. But that happened with a lot of people. Certified CFPs, all these financial advisors, they get paid, and some get paid very well, putting money's people in certain buckets. But do you know where your money is going? You don't have to know everything, but you need to understand where your money is going in those buckets. Why is your money allocated the way it is? How is it allocated where it is? Do you have some of it in aggressive growth funds? Is it some emerging markets? What type of buckets is your money in? That's what you need to know, because that money is going to work for you and ebb and flow with the community based on what's going on in the overall market. So right now, I've had people, I just had another conversation today and throughout this week, people are starting to bring up more than ever about politics. And so they're trying to decide what to do, pull their money out of certain stocks and tech companies. They're trying to pull their money out, but then they're like, how much? Because our net worth is so high, and capital gains and money we've made over time in the last 3, 4, 5 years with all the stock we've been purchasing with our company, as an example. So people are really concerned about how they're going to be penalized on their hard-earned dollars because they've made profits on it. But with the 401ks, with the 403bs, the 403bs, you have some options there. It's a little more flexible if you have like hardships. So there's things that you can do with your money depending on what the situation is. A 403a is going to be even stricter because it's tied to like state or government benefits specifically, like local. Educators will have those. My wife actually had one, and it was very strict as far as her not really being able to do anything. But when there was a low with the state and with the funds where they were located, they actually took more money out because it had to suffice for maintaining the accounts of those who had already retired. So my wife was paying for that now to cover those who had retired. It was a deficit to us or affected how we allocated things, but it was a benefit to those who are no longer working. Um, Take that for whatever it is, but the whole point is just different things happen. And so how you have your funds allocated and how you prepare for retirement, you want to have it in succession. People ask me a lot of times, so what do I do? Am I prepared for retirement? And I'll say, well, prepared for retirement, that's a general question because what do you mean? For me, it might be as some owners I knew of a car shop, a repair shop, they actually had a plan where once they sold the business to some younger guys a couple years ago, they left. One of them went to, I believe, the Philippines. He already had a plan. He already knew it was going to cost him. He had got the land and he took the American dollars. He was able to buy more with less, right? And so as soon as he could leave, he literally was ready to retire. I thought he was joking, but he seemed grumpy. I would sit there and laugh every time I met with him, but he was straight facing. When it was time to go, that gentleman took off. He was out of the United States, but he had a retirement plan in place. He was looking at how he can live well and have the things he wanted, access to certain things, and be able to live comfortably on less. And so you want to think about what your retirement strategy is and what that means. It's just like in stocks. What's your exit strategy? Is it a long term? Is it short term? What type of play are you doing? Is it day trade? What is it? Where you put your money and how you allocate your funds and how much you allocate to certain categories is going to depend on a lot of factors. Right now, like I said, the market risks that are out there, there's more than ever. The geopolitical issues we're having between the United States and other countries, just within our own country, there's a lot of division. There's a lot of conflict within politics and even how laws are being appropriated, if you will. and at the rate at which they are, without people say so or not. And so now people are really trying to plan more than ever, because you don't want to put your money in a certain place and don't have a plan of what's your lifestyle going to look like. Are you going to move? Are you going to stay in the United States? Are you going to move to a different part of the United States that's cheaper, but your money's going to go further? Do you have property already? Does your family have property? Talk to people who've had inheritances, more than one. And so you want to have a plan in place. Just because you can live very well and comfortably and do all the things you want to do now doesn't mean it's going to stay that way years from now. Unless you want to experience, if we experience something like what Zimbabwe did years ago, then it seems like a lot of things where we're headed. We definitely know that you can't go to the movie for 15 cents anymore. Not in this country. If you can, there might be some old way back place somewhere that they're still allowing you to pay very little, but those things have changed, right? You're not going to get a burger for 99 cents anymore unless it's a special, or you go to Wendy's or somewhere like that. And so just keep in mind what you do with your money and how you plan for retirement does matter. You have to have a plan in place. So I would say this: set goals. Look at how you're allocating your funds, because if you're not sure where to move some of your money and you're concerned about what's going on with even our government right now and what bonds and things are going to look like, or what interest rates will look like, and as you're putting money in place, and you want to pull it out of some accounts until you decide what's happening, or even if, as some people told me, they're planning on in a few months between the end of this year and next year, where the company may let a lot of staff go. And a lot is hinging upon what is going on with our country right now, right? And so that matters. Where do you roll money over into a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA? Do you put it into another company you plan on going with, working part-time or full-time? Yeah, and what type of returns you're going to be getting? How much is the matching? Is the matching going to be vested over 5 years? Is it immediate after 12 months? Do you plan on retiring in 2 or 3 more years and helping the company get a boost? All those things matter when you're talking about planning for retirement and what that looks like. So I'd say write down your goals. Look at first what you need. If you want to maintain the certain standard of living you have now, what does that look like as far as your minimum fixed cost? That should be in your budget. That should be a part of your retirement plan. Also, where are you going to pay for those funds each month? Is it going to come from your initial retirement? Some people have 2 and 3 retirement accounts, but which one are you going to use to cover your daily, monthly, weekly expenses? The next thing is, okay, like I said, having a cushion for savings. What type of savings do you want to have? Try and match your savings to at least 3 to 6 months worth of emergency expenses. Should something happen and things go awry, costs just inflate by 1,000%, you have something to live off of in that other account for savings as a cushion. Um, you also want to look at, do you want to travel? How much is it going to cost you to travel? Well, it depends on where you want to go, what the expenses are currently like. You got to pay for hotels. Do you have a property in Italy? Like some people purchase properties in Italy now. Um, are you going to have a property there and you have a place to stay? But then are you going to have to maintain that property? Do you need to have costs to cover insurance in another country? Do you have dual citizenship? Do you have property in the United States and out of the country? Philippines, Puerto Rico, whatever that looks like, depending on your particular situation and lifestyle, and you're starting with your basic needs and then start with your wants next. Um, then your wants are going to tell you how much more you're going to need to save in your retirement and what type of returns you might need to start looking at getting based on your age, how much you have in there now, and when you plan to retire. All those things do matter. So there's a lot that goes into it. Someone asked me, well, am I ready for retirement? I don't know. Maybe for you, living off $100,000 a month isn't enough for retirement, but for me, it is. I know what to do with the money. I'm content. I eat good, authentic food, cook a lot at home, hang out with friends, go to church, um, invest in gold and silver, buy and hold. So I can do a lot with $100,000 a month. But someone else, they might be doing more traveling. They might have big investments they're wanting to deal with and expand and start a business they've been wanting to start or expand in retirement. That's going to cost more. You're going to have to pay for more trips and traveling, hotel stays, and things like that, depending on if you have a friend you stay with or not. So there's got to be a strategy, a purpose, a goal, a strategy, and a plan. So all that's part of your plan when you're done thinking about retirement. So look at the things that you do have in place now. Look at what you still need to work on to have in place. And then look at your online account. A lot of people have not set up or even looked at their online account just to even have some type of insight and idea what they're even putting in their retirement right now. They have no idea. And that's okay. But there's a reason, but that's okay. But you just want to find out, where's my money going? So if you don't know where your money's going, you don't have a budget, you don't have any goals for retirement, you don't even know what your lifestyle is going to look like or what you would ideally like to have it look like and which changes you might need to make. Or if you're on track and you need to just continue to stay the course and you just need to make sure you allocate your funds a little better to secure the assets that you have accumulated over time. Okay. And then another thing about this is sometimes those who have additional retirement accounts, in some cases, they might want to use one for maintenance on a home and just funding properties and investment properties they have, and they want to grow that portfolio. Maybe they have a farm and they want to start farming alpacas. Alpacas are cool, by the way, but anyway, um, whatever it is, you just want to make sure you have a plan in place and contingencies, a plan A, plan B, and if you have the fortunate opportunity, plan C with different accounts and how you use those accounts. But I always tell everybody have a purpose for your accounts. Periodically evaluate your allocations. And yeah, so there's a lot to think about when it comes to retirement. So I would say do some thinking. And even with investments, the stocks and options, real estate investment trust, that's a whole nother thing. We can talk more about those things later. But all that can be part of your retirement plan. I talked to a gentleman years ago when I was working at Apple, and this gentleman, he through an organization, but anyway, he we were talking about the warranties, and basically he ended up having so much cash in retirement as an employee. He retired in his early 40s, and he told me, "Nope, I'm doing good." He had moved out of the country. He's on one of the islands, living, doing very well. When the stock was at $12.43 or so, Steve Jobs had just came back. I told my professor, I said, that company's going to go. It's going to take off, and it did. And when that stock went to 600, 643, $800 a share, he cashed out. He was done. So we all have a different retirement strategy and options to available to us, based on what's available in our tool belt, the tools accessible to us. And part of that is what company you work for and what they're offering you as far as benefits. So if you want to learn more, yeah, I know I said a lot, went over, covered a few things. You want to learn more about me, or you want to book a session with me. Sessions are hour-long session, but then we have like 3, 4 phases of that. You can go to the website unwindfinancial.org to learn more. Unwindfinancial.org to learn more. If you have questions, you can email me at info@unwindfinancial.org. Continue to stay with us, support us, and share our channel as we continue to grow. And we're going to be doing some new things over the next few months and year. I'm excited about it, but here's another tip for today. In the meantime, thank you so much. Enjoy your holiday, for Memorial Day. Enjoy your holiday and your time off. For those who really need to rest well, because money's not everything, but money helps with many things, right? But just no matter what, you need to be healthy mentally as well and physically. So rest well, enjoy your weekend. Until next time, thank you and unwind.